Most everybody else is gonna do a dummy evacuation for one tier only, and either we'll do it here or we'll do it there. So we'll have that discussion with Kim, and this is your paperwork. And we are doing that on Wednesday. We're gonna attempt to do them all on one day. Just like with the big buses, we're gonna attempt to do those all in one day. Any questions about that? This is the week. This is the week to start talking about your emergency exits with your students. Start talking about this evacuation, how it's gonna go. Have somebody on your bus with their timers. Everybody's got a phone, especially the little ones. They like to time you as you get in and out of the bus. Make somebody in charge of that. Make somebody the leader. Demonstrate your windows. Have every student that wants to demonstrate how to pull that window open and push it out and pull it back in. Also, your emergency exits. If you've got some tall boys that want to try it, have them try opening it up for you. Talk about it. Back door. Open the when you're stopped at the school, or you have a little bit of time before you take off in the afternoon. Open that back door. Get them used to the sound of it, so they understand what that door is. Pick your students. Talk to your older students in the back. You guys are going to be my leaders. If I have to stop and have an emergency, I'm going to tell you to get out, and you're going to stop, and you're going to help all the other students out. It's a great week to start talking about safety issues, especially if you've got some noise on your bus and you want to reel it in and tame it down and start talking about emergency things, because it's something they can get involved in, and something that any bus that they're going to be on, they need to know about. Okay, so big bus, and we only have a video for request access to it. You want to find? Okay, all right. Request that.
You gotta approve it. You gotta go to your office and approve it.
Okay, so how do we get it?
Just go to your office and sign it.
And
It'll have an email
I'll
basically. Yeah, on the safety meeting, make sure you guys, or the bus evacuation, make sure you open all your emergency exits. We don't want to do it constantly because those are pretty flimsy, but all of them should be checked once a year. If something happens and they're not working right, like you go to shut them and they keep buzzing, mechanic 100, since we're over at the impact, we'll be right there south. We'll just be a couple of minutes, but go ahead and have somebody open all of them. The first, especially kids that are new to the buses, you go to touch that red handle and they freak out because they haven't seen it. It's like, don't touch that. Well, they're never going to touch it if they're just trained to do that. They don't know what it does. So just open it up and show them out the window. You go to shut it, it doesn't want to shut, you're going to take a cloth, wipe around. A lot of them just dirt accumulates in there, in the hinges. If they're causing issues, they're probably going to cause an issue later. So if we catch them when we're not in an emergency, we're better off. How long does it take to click OK?
Chris,
Yes, Mr. Tony.
that would include, show your kids, the more responsible kids, show them how to pull the parking brake. Show them how to release the door pressure. Because a lot of kids, God forbid something happens to you guys, but it's just, I've seen videos all the time in the news where the driver, something happens to the driver, and luckily there's a kid that knows that the bus is going 5-10 miles an hour, he knows how to pull that parking brake. So if you have some responsible kids, show them how to do that. Show them how to release the pressure on the point. Show them how to open the door.
Just in case, the worst case scenario, you go unconscious as a driver, they've got the parking brake and they know how to get that front latch on. It just saves some time.
Yeah, they sent it to Chris. And
That is?
And it's got a long ways to go to my office, and it hasn't come through yet, so.
Yeah, because I'm requesting the access. She has.
We'll work on that.
We'll show it eventually.
Okay. I did want to say one thing about the sped, when you're calling in on sped, when you're a student and on a normal regular route, you give them 30 seconds to get them on. Special needs, we give them a little bit more time, but we don't need to call it in. Those give them a minute, maybe 2 minutes. Working, your parent relationship is how they're gonna know that you're gonna be there, what time you're gonna be there, and if you're consistent, they should be ready. They should be ready to go, so you shouldn't have to be stalled and be late to school because they can't get it together for that.
Yeah, if you have sped students and you're gonna be gone, and you've set it up where you have the parent call you when they're not gonna be there, you might tell them, the parent, that you're gonna be gone, so a sub-driver will know if the students aren't gonna
And
be
that
there.
should really be in your subfolder too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
should be.
The TAC meeting was this week. Paul's gonna get up and talk about it a little bit. If you are at the South Campus, you saw Austin and Caesar and Scott and I go over and write down tag numbers that came back around the backside of Mays South Middle School where they shouldn't be. First day, we had over 50 students driving through there, maneuvering around buses. Tony did some work with the SROs, and they were in the wrong spot the next day. They were in the roundabout, but the traffic was down to, we had 23. So the students that knew that they weren't supposed to go through there kind of understood that we were gonna be a presence there and that they needed to stop being there. We talked to the officer that day, and he won't write tickets, but he's keeping an eye out for what we're doing back there to try to slow it down. We're working on it. Friday, we had about 20 go through, mostly students speeding through, and there's not enough signage back there, but TAC is working on it. And they also had a lot of other things they were working on, and Paul's going to talk about that for a minute. Paul, are you here? Yes, you are. Oh, sorry. I'm going to go see if that gave you access. Did you find that?
Okay, can you hear me without the microphone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. At the meeting for TAC, we had over 20 people here for the first one. That's really good. TAC is Transportation Advisory Committee. It's a group started 2.5 years ago. And what we do is get together and discuss bus items, either safety items or student items, and communication between us and the administrative staff. We invite SRO officers over here, school administrators, and Darren over here to come speak. And we've had the superintendent over here before. So it's a really good organization. It's voluntary. We do it once a month from like 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, and I think October 8th is our next one. And what we'd like for you guys to do is, if you have issues or concerns, write them down. There's a box out in the hallway outside. Just put it in. You don't have to sign your name. What we try to do is stay positive and try to make everything here better. And we've had a lot of success starting through TAC. Go over there. Some of the things that kind of came up at the last meeting, I'll be quick, is a roll call printout list of students' names and addresses. It's a real easy, concise form for bus drivers to use. Usually it's only 1 or 2 pages, maybe 3 if you've got a big route. But it's an easy way for you to go through, see what students is on your list, and it's a good way to start memorizing new students. If you want to look at it, just have it printed out one time. It's called Roll Call. Reminder that there's no left turns at Mays High School, or MCA during the times we're letting out buses. Talk about getting Chromebook access. Chris said there are Chromebooks available here to use if it's crowded. If there's a meeting in here, talk to Chris about getting a Chromebook. He said there's some available. They're in the break room now. Backing in the parking lot, Joey talked about that. Be courteous when we're backing out in the parking lot. Back out slow and don't speed around buses packing up or backing up, especially over here or maybe over there thinking you can go around wide. Don't do that, please. We don't want to irritate the person backing up. Prey-Woodman traffic, in the beginning, they had a new principal and it was kind of chaotic, but I think we're getting that worked out now. Basically, we asked them to start just going when the buses come in, the administrators work towards the back. New thing is our TAC minutes of the meeting are going to be emailed to all of you, so you can kind of keep track of what's going on. And they're posted in the break room. but now you should be getting an email of what we're talking about. Safety at MIS over here, talked about when students in the afternoon are dismissed. There's a lot of them walking on the streets. We still have buses just driving right next to them to get parked, ready to go. Wait for those students to clear out before you take the sidewalk lane. We got plenty of time. Basically, slow down. That's what we talked about at TAC, things like this, just to make it better. And we do have communication with the staff. We got issues. We also talked about crosswalks and all that. A lot of the crosswalks you see probably started at TAC meetings, the new ones. And anyway, have any questions? Joy is in charge of TAC. Here's one thing that's really nice about a TAC meeting. At the end of the meeting, which only lasts an hour, towards the end of the meeting, I try to facilitate it so we get done early. There's a direct question and answer session with Joy, Kathy, or Chris, and you learn a lot from that meeting. I think we did learn from Chris, this is the last thing, is that on BusQuest app, he said there's 3,500 families available to use it. Over 2,000 have already signed up. So if you haven't started using BusQuest, just start incorporating it. So if your family signs up, you don't get in trouble like I'm not getting any reports. So that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's more for Joy, but it's kind of like you. So you guys are making it sound soft on when we roll around the parking lot in our bus, and there's another bus pulling out. I thought that we were supposed to yield, and that was a requirement. Now you're making it sound soft. I got a problem with that because somebody's backing out. Do they not have the right of way?
They have the right
We
of way.
have to yield to someone backing out. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Okay. I just want to hear you make sure everybody understands that.
Yeah, most people understand it if it's when you get in a hurry and you want to get going and you're a couple minutes late or you had to change buses and people think that it's okay to just fly out and throw it in reverse and go, and you really need to be cautious about it. So, and is that hard enough? Okay.
Hey, also, when we're at MIS and we're taking off after we've unloaded the kids, everybody needs to stay put until all the kids are off the sidewalk. That's
Yes.
inside and outside lanes.
Yes, and that was discussed at the TAC meeting, and I think Kathy was gonna go into it, but she's not here. So we got 2 lanes of traffic coming in and out of MIS. Now, we had this discussion last year that maybe the inside lane needs to be able, or the outside lane needs to be able to go if the inside lane has got kids walking. But Kathy was point blank, it is same across the board for every school, nobody moves if there's kids on the sidewalk, if students on the inside or outside lane. There were some questions over at South too, about being able to move if you're in the outside lane, but you cannot. If there are students on the sidewalk, everybody stays put. It's not gonna be that long.
Okay, Bay South High.
Right.
You've got kids moving everywhere. What do you do there?
You stay put and you be very careful. I know, it's not an ideal situation. They took our bus lane away and it doesn't make us happy. I mean, our job is to be cautious, don't move, watch your students, and then they stuck us right in the middle of a parking lot with kids moving back and forth.
Why can't
So
they
we
move?
started at Mace Middle, last week we started watching cars. So we're starting to be a presence over there because of TAC. We're gonna invite them over, we're gonna keep counting until we get the solution. There is not a solution. If you can come up with a solution to save it all, hey, let's go for it.
Why can't they go back to the old?
Because, and this is why,
Okay.
we had to get traffic off of 37 and off of Tyler, the parent traffic. The city came to us and said, get it off of the street. They don't care how. That was their only solution. We talked about the solution that there's a little driveway in front of May South High, but it's not strong enough for 2 layers of buses. Same at MIS. It'd be great if we could just have the back of that school, but it's not strong enough to support the weight of 2 sets of buses or a double stack of buses going back there. So that was denied too. We talked about another access point. This was all talked about at TAC. Another access point into May South High. No, cannot have it. The city says no. It's a planning thing. I don't know why. So why can't we widen those? Now that was something they were going to look at. But for now, we have to deal with what we've got, so we just have to be very, very careful.
Could you resolve the 37th Street traffic by opening the gate on the north side of the?
They don't think so.
Northeast side.
They made those decisions, and that's what we're with until we start hammering them with ideas. So, yeah, Clara.
What about letting the sped buses off last? Have them fill our buses last, let the big buses go first. And that way the lot would empty out faster than the sped buses, because our kids aren't mentally, all of them mentally to stay in the same, in our area. They run, we have runners. Why can't we have them last, be loaded up?
That's a
Have you
good
thought-
idea. That's a good idea. We should write that down for the TAC meeting for us to go to. Where's Sarah at? Sarah's writing it down. So if that was an option, if we could do them, delay them a little bit, at least because we're talking about safety too. You guys have runners over there too, so all out at the same time, it's not working. We're aware of that. It's just, a solution. Kelly?
Are we anywhere close to getting a solution to the traffic on 119th in the afternoons? When we get backed up and payback?
No.
Yes, kind of. Well, their goal is to watch it last week and see how many cars over there, and if it didn't get better, they're gonna start doing the serpentine through Impact like they did with the South Elementary. I don't know when they're going to start that. Usually, I think when they get the South High change, give them a week. But yes, they know about it and they're addressing it. So.
Wednesdays always seems to be the worst.
Yeah, the easy thing is just to run it out through the parking lot. I think we're going to, but we're just going on that.
Is there any way
That's a good question. That's a good question for TAC.
Could you repeat the question?
Put a suggestion in Sarah's box or Paul's box, because it has been talked about, that's board planning and all that kind of stuff. I want to keep moving. Maps should be done this month. They should be done by now. Now's September's the first month you need to have it checked off on. There's a box above the subfolder file cabinet in the break room. Make sure you get your maps in there, and then I have some people that'll sign off on them. They need to be done this month. This is when we start checking.
Joy, would that be our subfolder and our notebook off our bus?
Subfolder is the only maps that we are checking. By signing that you are, your maps are done and ready, you're promising me that those red books are an identical match to what's in your subfolder. We're not checking both of them, okay? We'll catch you if you're not doing that. Defensive driving is October 10th, 1 to 5. If you are Kristen, Randall, Michelle, Vern, Ronnie, Zimmerman, Alan, Patty, Rebecca, Sarah, or Adam, you need to sign up for that class. Again, October 10th, 1 to 5. First aid is October 10th, 8 to 12. We're out of school that day, so you get to come in here and sit in here. So, first aid, Rose, Stephen, Jessica, Daisy, Terrell, Michelle, Caesar, Wayne, Charlotte, and Ron are all due for your first aid. You're due in September, Linda Oaks, Bev Scott, Molly, Hossein, Julie, and Kristen. You're all due, and again, October 10th, between 8 a.m. to noon. You have to have that every 2 years, so. Tammy's really good about keeping up on it, so we know who needs it. Bus wash. Okay, our little bus wash is so fantastic compared to what we used to have to do. But we need some rules about courtesy, evidently. So if you're in that bus wash, do not back up to trigger sensors. Just go through. If you're going in there for a deep clean, if you're going to use the hoses, if you're going to wash it down, if you're going to mop it out, let's wait a little bit later till the ones coming just after route that are going to run through are going to go through. And if you wanna do that and somebody comes up behind you and you know you're gonna be 10, 15 minutes, just go on out and tool around back to the other side and go through again. You could do that 3, 4, 5 times. You know, and instead of holding up the people behind you, I mean, we work together, we're a team, we're supposed to be supporting each other, be helpful for each other. That's better than getting in an argument and getting fussy with each other, correct?
Yeah,
Right? Because if and I've asked Ron this before, if we could get a couple of those sprayers to hit the back of the bus, it doesn't hit the back of the bus. If we could turn those nozzles just a little bit, maybe 1 or 2 of them, to hit the back of the bus as it goes on, because it doesn't do a very good job on the back of the bus. Yes.
Can we have, I know last year, we were talking about maybe on like deep clean days, how about the sign up,
Yeah.
sign up roster?
Yeah. You probably don't need it if you deep clean your bus, you probably don't need to do that like every other day. Maybe just once a week, twice a week, once a month or something to deep clean it. So we're just gonna be cautious of each other and watch out for each other, okay? I did want to show the video for the evacuations for the big buses, so I'll go work on that and see if I can get that up and running, okay?
Sarah,
I don't have a ton of stuff to talk about. On your yellow kid count sheets, if you're jumping from bus to bus or a sub or something, make sure you've only got 1 vehicle on that sheet. So like because we gotta file them by vehicles. So just like your inspection sheets, if you jump from bus to bus, I gotta make a copy of them if you have 2 or 3 buses listed on that sheet. So it's just easier if you have, a couple with you, have an extra one. Lost and found, when you guys find stuff on the bus, try and keep it on there for a day or so. Ask around, see if anybody recognizes it. If they don't, bring it in. We'll try and figure it out, but usually we have no clue. I still have stuff from over the summer that I called parents on. Oh yeah, we'll come get it. It's in my drawer still. If you are gone, sick, whatever, or if you're on a trip, if you have a shuttle that you run, make sure whoever you talk to, tell them that you're going to be gone and make sure they know you have a shuttle. Last week we had an issue with all of a sudden schools were calling, where's the shuttle? We even had kids calling, my van's not here, our bus isn't here. They were either sick or on a trip and it didn't get caught. So remind us that you have a shuttle because sometimes we forget. When you're doing your inspection sheets, please do a fluid check. Some of you might be doing fluid checks every day, but you didn't write down that you did a fluid check, or you didn't write a date on there. I can't guess that you did a fluid check. So starting this week, I'm going to be putting notes in boxes if you guys haven't been doing them. And you do that too many times, there may be some discipline that goes on because we have to have records of it. So I just can't guess that you've done it. Because then if something goes wrong with the bus, and in fact, last week, there was an issue with the vehicle. It was several quarts low on oil. And we've got some transmission issues going on with a couple things, I think. So, because it sounds like stuff has not been checked like it should have been. So, technically, you should be checking those fluids every day, but at least write down one of those days. And some of you are writing checked every day. Some of you write 2 or 3 days on there. But I at least need to know a date that you checked it. But technically, a DOT inspection, it's every day. Every time you go and you get in that vehicle, even morning and afternoon, really.
Because the last meeting they said once a week, so.
We at least have to have documentation of
Oh,
that.
is that what, okay.
Yeah, so to know it's been done.
Gotcha.
But, yeah, and we may change that. We may decide that you better be writing that date every day. So, yeah.
we was doing activity, we were supposed to check the fluids.
Yes.
It's twice I found the radiator didn't have any stuff in it, and it has the mechanics fluid.
Yep. And if, yeah, every trip, shuttle, you know, technically if you go grab a van to run errands for us, if we need you to do something, you're supposed to check it. If you're doing trips, especially, because, you know, our buses get rotated around. We have some vehicles that haven't been checked just because they haven't been used. We've got a few of those, but you know, that's on us to get those checked. But if you're on a trip, make sure you're here early enough to check that, to make sure you've got, you know, washer fluid, make sure it's got oil, make sure it's got DEF, and get it filled before you get out of here.
What about gas?
Fuel too, yeah. Yeah.
I don't want it.
Yeah, you're not gonna get very far to go, because if you went on a trip and you come back and it's a quarter of a tank, you need to be filling it before you get off that bus. Or if you come back and, you know, you knew your depth was kind of low, or, you know, gonna be getting low, let somebody know, you know, either that night, you know, write it down, leave a note for somebody, tell us the next day, call in if you're not here, something. So you guys can't just, you know, think you'll get to it the next time or let somebody else catch it, because they might not. You know, if you don't get it filled and somebody else just goes and hops on it, they might assume, oh, somebody else did it. You might get stuck with not enough depth and you're not gonna start. So in my past career, I had to go rescue a couple truck drivers because they couldn't restart because they were too low on depth. And it's a call of shame, let me tell you.
What's the story on the DEF? What's going on with the DEF?
They're replacing that tank, but it's not in yet. Mechanics have depth over there. And if, when they get to a quarter, yeah, 25%, contact, get over there, let them know, and they'll get you filled. Get you some in it. But they've got a limited supply, but if they need to keep getting it through them, we can. They'll get more until that tank gets replaced. So I know those tanks are a pain in the butt. They can have issues. But
So, Chris, we ran into the issue of this over the weekend. Of course, nobody's here, the mechanics aren't here. So, our driver went and did it themselves somewhere else. I think in that case, until the tank is in for the activity drivers, if you can, like if you know that you have a trip Saturday or Sunday and you're a normal employee here, try and check that bus Friday before you go home, so that you know, so that the mechanics are here. If you're a truck driver that only comes in when needed, maybe we can start looking and saying, okay, let's send somebody out Friday, just double check those buses, make sure they're good to roll on Saturday, just until the deck is in. And this way, because then it's still on the driver's responsibility, but this way we're not rolling out on a weekend and nobody's here to help them if need be.
Casey sells stuff, by the way.
yeah, and it's a lot cheaper other places too. You're used to buying it, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. And if for some reason, like, you know, like this weekend, if you have to buy it while you're out, keep your receipt, you'll get reimbursed. You know, it's not out of your pocket, but yeah, like if you know you're going out on Saturday, give us a call and we'll get it double checked, just to make sure. So, yeah.
Is DEF just DEF? Are there certain types of it?
No, it's one type. There's different brands, as long as it's diesel exhaust fluid, it'll work. So, but yeah, there's several brands of it, but.
Alright, good morning. Yes. Quick, I'll be super duper quick. Good news or bad news, or just mix it in? We'll start with something great news. Vivian,
Yes.
amazing job last week.
Oh, thank you.
So what happened was Vivian had a fight on her bus. Is that thing on? It's on? So there was a fight on her bus, and Vivian stopped the bus, put her bus in safe mode, got up, scolded those kids. They freaked out when they saw her, and she was able to separate them and got them up to the front. She did perfect. I looked at the whole thing, and you know how I am. If I find something, she did perfect. All right, so if you guys knew Vivian when she first got here, nicest lady in the world. When I saw on video, I was like, I need to move seats. That was pretty awesome. Kudos to you. Good job. Okay, so next thing I got for you guys is, hey, don't when you're on your bus, don't argue with the parents. You know, I'm not saying the parents are right. Just don't argue with them. You know, they come over. I saw you from 30 feet away. You grab my kid. Take it to, if you don't think I'm doing my job properly, take it to management. Don't sit there and, no I didn't, yes you did, no I didn't, yes you did. That's 2-3 minutes of nothing. Really is. Don't do that, please. I'm not saying our people did anything wrong, just don't do that. You guys will like this one. So, don't say any bad words on your bus. Those kiddos, especially the youngest kiddos, are so impressionable, right? So, I'll make up a word that was said on this bus. So let's just say chips, right? So if a driver says, hey, you guys need to cut that chips up, right? To you, it's probably not a bad word. You've said it a gazillion times. To us in here, maybe it's not a bad word. But guess what? The kindergartner who hears you hears chips. Must not be a bad word. He goes in his front door, and guess what? Chips, 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 chips. Daddy says, where did you get that from? The bus driver said it, so it must be okay, right? And then guess what happens? You guys already know. Dad calls me, and we're bad guys, right? So be careful, even if you don't think it's a bad word. These are little kids, man. They're gonna pick up on it. You know, it's maybe you guys don't think you're important, but you're super important to these kids. And we've talked about it before. First person they see, last person they see, right? So they do look up to you guys, so just be careful with that stuff. Stop at the stop signs, guys. I had a couple of people call in that our buses are rolling through stop signs. Just make sure you stop. Again, I'm not saying you did or you didn't. I'm just saying, if you think about it, please do complete stops, okay? This was a big one, came up last year, and it's come up again this year, is at the crossing guards, specifically right here, 45th and 119th. Let them get back on the sidewalk. There's no rush to go from Mays High to Mays Intermediate. I don't understand why, if this person's walking across, why their bus has to come across, because you're just going right there to drop off. Please let them get back on the sidewalk, especially if they got kids, or just be super careful there. I would appreciate it. I think everybody would appreciate that. Guys, we're not going to let our students, we love all these kids, right? We love them all. We're not going to let those kids disrespect any of you guys, okay? Parents and drivers. Connie knows. Kid said something to Connie. By the time Connie and Keith came to talk to me about it, that kid was suspended off the bus. We're not going to have it, okay? I don't think he's back on yet.